Welcome to Every Sing Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Boss. This is the first time that I've done a video podcast, so thanks for trying it out with me. If you're watching on YouTube, fantastic. You're looking at me right now. But if you're listening through the podcast app to the Every Sing Podcast, that's totally cool too. You won't miss out on anything except for seeing my shining nose and big white teeth. So today's guest is John Henny, the courageous man who decided he'd go on video with me. John is a mentor to voice teachers and to singers. He's an entrepreneur with expertise in marketing in the world of singing. Singing and marketing don't always go hand in hand, at least in the minds of a lot of voice teachers and singers. But as John explains in this podcast episode, they're really essential. They are linked. Marketing is everything. So get over it. I'm not going to take any more time explaining. I'm going to let John tell the story himself. So here is John Henny on Every Sing Podcast. Hi, John, and welcome to Every Sing.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy.
It is so cool to connect with you here. We both have these voices that are in people's ears, but to try this out on YouTube, really fun. Thank you for taking the plunge with me on that.
Not a problem. Hopefully, I should have done my hair better, but we'll get by.
Your makeup is awful today, John.
It usually is.
Yeah. And where are you? What city are you in right now?
So I'm in the city of Glendora, which is in the foothills about 25 miles east of downtown Los Angeles, not too far from Pasadena.
I am in Seattle, well, just outside of Seattle in Bellevue. So it'd take us about a 20-hour drive to get to each other. That's not bad.
Yeah. And you tend to get a bit more rain than we do.
Which is why I love podcasting. I just get to sit in my dark, quiet basement and not look outside. Tell me about you with what is your emphasis right now? I've known of you as a voice teacher, and you've had a great podcast you've been putting out for a while now, but I'm starting to see you from a new light, and I believe that is the light of entrepreneurship and mentorship. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. So what I've kind of found myself doing is helping other voice teachers who want to increase their reach beyond just their vocal studio, to help them develop a product or develop a greater presence, develop more authority in their marketplace. This is what I've been doing. So I've created a course on Facebook advertising specifically for music teachers that's been going quite well. And I also do some one-on-one consulting and things like that. But yeah, I really like to see voice teachers take on the entrepreneurial charge, if you will. In many ways, marketing and being an entrepreneur almost goes against our nature as musicians and as artists. And we kind of feel it as something that is wrong. And I certainly had that mindset for a little while. Yeah. And I was kind of caught up in this belief that if I just got really, really good and I was better than the voice teacher next to me, I would get the clients that I wanted. And I quickly found out that voice teachers who really weren't spectacular, but really good at getting their message out there were getting clients that were making me incredibly jealous. And I couldn't figure out, and I would sit almost incredulous and go, I would do better for that student.
Yeah,
that person should be studying with me.
It? Like they're doing a workaround.
It does.
Yeah, like they haven't earned it.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, the thing is the secret is you have to go out and ask for what you want, and you have to ask in the right way, but you have to make people aware. Yeah. And people look at celebrity voice teachers. Other voice teachers will do that. People with big celebrity clientele, and sometimes they'll start pointing, going, well, they're not necessarily the best voice teacher. How do they have all these clients? And what I say is, look, I know a good number of the celebrity voice coaches, and even though some of them aren't necessarily brilliant, they're all good, and in some ways, they're good enough that they can get and satisfy that clientele, which then just builds the reputation more and more.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So why you could just be taking advantage of this yourself and charging $500 an hour to teach celebrity voice clients. So why is it that you're interested in sharing it with your competition? Especially with Skype. Now every teacher in the world is your competition. So what's with you putting it out there?
Well, there's a couple of things. Number one, I opened a music academy, which is a 2,000 square foot facility with a bunch of employees. And that kind of started me on this journey because I was still in some delusion because I was having some success as a voice teacher, and I had decent celebrity clientele. So I thought my reputation would carry forth on this new venture, and really quickly realized I needed to learn marketing. So this focus has kind of pulled me out of that world, and I'm spending less and less doing one-on-one teaching, to be quite honest. And I really want to, because this is a passion, I love to share what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's number one. Number two, I think to really do this and to be an entrepreneur, you have to have an abundance mindset, which is you have to believe there's more than enough to go around. Mm-hmm. And even if there is a slight level of delusion in that, because we do compete on some level, ultimately, if you just stay in this focus of abundance, you learn not to fear your competition.
That's for sure. And also especially with being able to do online voice lessons now, there are way more people in the world who love to sing and want to sing better than there are voice teachers. So honestly, in this modern era, we are opening ourselves up to billions of people as potential clients. You can afford to.
Yeah, and there are billions more coming online in just the next decade. I mean, it's phenomenal. So what I say to people is, and there's a marketer who put this really, really well. But he said, as a performer, you have your audience, mm-hmm. you have your stage or venue, mm-hmm. and you have the song that you're performing.
Right.
So if you think about your marketing, your audience are the people that are going to connect with you, the people that you're going to reach out to. And you need to know who your audience is as a performer. We've seen performers make mistakes of getting out of alignment with their audience. The one that quickly comes to mind is the Dixie Chicks.
Yeah.
What was that, about 15 years ago, when Natalie Maines, if she was in front of the audience for Rage Against the Machine, they would have cheered wildly. Yeah, but the audience was country, which is aligned with military, and unfortunately that cost them. Yeah. And so you have to find your audience, mm-hmm. and then you have to find your venue, which is going to be whether you're going to reach out to them on YouTube or a podcast or Facebook, etc. The next thing is having the right song or the right message, right, to send out through that medium. So your message is tailored to that medium. So if you're finding your people on Instagram, your message is going to be tailored a little bit differently, or your song's going to be composed differently than if it's Facebook or if it's a blog. Mm-hmm. But you need to understand, when you do choose a medium, you need to understand how it works and compose accordingly.
Right. We train our singers to do that in voice lessons, and singers who don't have voice lessons, yes. they can figure that out through many of the books that are out there. They can take online courses through discussion groups like Facebook. There's lots of ways that a singer learns that they have to point their message to a specific audience, and everything in business and marketing talks about choosing your avatar, and everything you do needs to be aimed at that avatar, right? So
that's absolutely right.
How does that translate to singing teachers? How do they pick? I mean, holy cow, you and I could both teach just about anybody who stepped in front of us, irregardless of genre or regardless of genre. And so how do I pick my avatar?
That's a great question. So it really comes down to what aspect of your teaching that you want to focus on. if you're looking at bringing in students into your studio, the more that you focus on a specific avatar, the better you're going to be able to tailor your message to them. And I believe everyone has something special about them as a voice teacher. Your background's going to be different than mine.
Yeah.
I came to voice teaching in a weird way in that I was initially a drummer and was making my living playing drums.
Yeah.
And started studying voice. Didn't start studying voice until I was in my early 20s, almost as something to add to my musician arsenal as a drummer, to be able to sing backup vocals.
Okay.
I'm able to work with singers in a way, and I've done thousands of gigs as a musician. So I'm able to work with singers in terms of how to work with musicians, how to work with a band, how to understand phrasing on a deeper level and timing and things like that. Whereas other people have a deeper history in musical theater, or I'm mentoring a teacher right now. He is actually a rehearsal and audition level pianist.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, man, you bring something to the table that not every voice teacher has.
Right.
So you can actually coach on a higher level, even though most voice teachers dabble in coaching. You have to on some level, but he can do it at a higher level than most. So if you can take that special gift and amplify it and niche down to the people that are going to respond to that special talent, you can begin to grow your business from your niche and then begin to grow outwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And whether you're doing that locally or you're trying to do that in online lessons, as long as you live in a big city, you can do that locally, that you can really niche down and get your target group.
Yeah. So for me, the singers that I work with is a very different avatar or customer than the person who comes to my music academy. So when I'm reaching out to people for my music academy, I'm reaching out to parents, usually the mom, because they're going to be more involved in making this decision and this commitment to music lessons. And then, I will do videos about how clean our place is, which is an odd thing but to a mom, and they've gone in, and a complaint that I've seen for other studios is the places are a little grungy. Wow. And they're not comfortable leaving their kids in these larger facilities where lots of kids are going through. And so they're exposing their kids. Yeah. All of our doors have windows on them. All of our employees are background checked on the FBI level. I mean, it's all of these. Wow. And actually, they're all employees, which rather than independent contractors, which costs me more, yes, in terms of my employee costs. But I'm able to turn that into a marketing angle to charge above and beyond what it costs me. So it becomes a profit generator for me.
Nice.
Because the value perception goes up. Yeah. So the way I target a parent is very different than how I target a voice teacher who may want to work with me or a singer who may want to work with me.
And so you've got 3 distinctly different tracks that your business is taking right now?
Yes.
Yeah. And so how do you, obviously you have business plans in 3 distinctly different areas, and you follow a marketing plan that's separate for each of those?
What I do is I just kind of create, and this is something I'm always refining and getting better at, but for me, I have to schedule. I have my little mantra, which is plan, schedule, execute. And because it's great to have goals and to have dreams and ideas.
Yep.
I can come up with that all day long.
Yeah, me too.
But to sit down and plan it and break it down.
For me, the execute, I enjoy the planning, absolutely. But and putting on my calendar, I do that. But then suddenly I find myself not doing what I wrote on that piece of paper. And I do it on paper so I can erase.
Well, I really, somebody said if it wasn't for ADD, there would be no entrepreneurs.
Beautiful.
And all of us that kind of have this entrepreneurial spirit, we tend to chase bright, shiny objects. We tend to chase new ideas.
Yeah.
We're constantly in a state of motion and excitement, but we're not always getting things done.
And easily bored.
Easily bored. And, I was at a conference of entrepreneurs once, and something someone said really stuck with me. Only done gets paid.
Yeah.
Only when you finish something are you going to make money from it.
Yeah.
And I've got half-finished stuff all over the place. It's like musicians. How many half-finished songs do they have? It's the finishing of a song.
Yeah, that's it.
If musicians could compete on half-finished songs, you'd be competing with half the population in the U.S. But it's those that actually finish songs and refine songs and understand that you have to compete on a really high level that do well.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so it's no different for us.
No different for us. So back to the idea that got off track.
I'm good at doing that.
That you have got 3 different tracks that you're going down now. The academy, fantastic. I get that. It makes a lot of sense. It has a lot of local impact, both on the teachers who are working for you and the hundreds of students who work with them. So fantastic. Way to go. Working with teachers, there aren't a lot of entrepreneurial coaches or mentors for voice teachers. How did you get into that niche? What do you do in that niche?
So that niche, it's my newest endeavor. The way I got into the niche, long story short, when I opened this academy, I sunk a lot of money into it. Didn't know what I was doing, that this was a whole different business than just running my own studio. So I quickly began to lose a lot of money, to be honest.
Yeah.
And it also pulled me away from my own studio. So my income was suffering on both sides. So I realized, okay, I need to create something that's I need to figure out how to plug this sinking ship, plug the holes. But in the meantime, I need to bring in a revenue source. So I have trained a lot of voice teachers. I mean, it literally is in the hundreds. I would, done teaching tours doing that. So I went, okay, I'm going to take what I know. I'm going to create an online course, and I'm going to have that for purchase. And that's the first proper course that I did. And
boy, there's some risk in that too. You put in all those hours having no idea if it's going to pay off or not.
You're right. And what I did is I built it and then realized I have to learn how to market this as well. Mm-hmm. So this marketing thing kept looming over me.
Yeah.
So what I did is I dove into Facebook advertising, learned that like crazy, took what I learned and then applied it to my academy. And within the first month, I believe I spent $300 or $400 on ads, and the monthly gross revenue jumped up 3,000.
Beautiful.
And I went, okay. There's something here. So that got me really focused on the Facebook ads. And since I started doing that, I've been able to triple what is being made here. Wow. So this place is now well in the black. And so I went, okay, I think other voice teachers would benefit from this. Yes. And the way I had to learn it was to go out, just take the information that was written for either small businesses in general or online entrepreneurs and figure out how to make it work for my industry specifically.
Yeah.
And so that's why I created a Facebook ads course. And then from that, I've had some people approach me, and I do on a very selected basis some one-on-one work as well. It's not the number one focus that I have. I mean, the academy takes up a lot of my time in my private teaching, but it is something that I'm passionate about because I don't want anybody to lay awake at night as I did and worry. That's just not a place I want to see anyone.
Well, I'm really grateful for you doing that work and then delivering it for me. It is certainly worth the money for me to get that information from you so that I can move forward with my projects and the things that I'm creating. And so thank you very much for creating that Facebook information.
I really do believe that every voice teacher has something special. And if a voice teacher is completely happy just sitting behind their piano, one of the best voice teachers I know was asking me about everything I'm doing. He said, you know what, John? all I want to do is just sit in my studio and teach. And I'm like, man, good for you.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Yeah. I'm just too antsy to do that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not, I've done it. I have done the 10-hour days of teaching. I mean, 10 hours of teaching. And that's just not what I enjoy. And so I want to help like-minded voice teachers do that.
Beautiful. That helping like-minded voice teachers achieve their dreams, and teachers who think completely differently than you still have a message to get out there, and so that they can take advantage of what you're offering. That's fantastic. Cool. And then you also offer a lot of information now, do you have 2 podcasts going right now?
I do. Yeah. I have the Intelligent Vocalist, which is for singers. It's funny. I do get a lot of voice teachers listening to that one, and that was never my intended audience. It's funny and when I found out voice teachers were listening, I had a moment of panic going, oh my gosh, what have I been saying?
I know. It's very risky to teach us voice teachers what to teach.
Oh my gosh, what an unruly crowd us voice teachers are. And then my second one, Studio Marketing Secrets. And that podcast is newer, and that's directly focused on for voice teachers and people and music teachers to just tips and tricks to help build their online business. Not only their brick and mortar, but also their online reach as well.
So in my opinion, you're not making that podcast fast enough, because that's how I pick your brain. So keep them coming. Are you doing anything to monetize your podcasts? I was looking for you on Patreon, and I don't think I could find you on there. So I was wondering if there's any way that people can support you with those podcasts.
That's a good point. It's not anything I'd actually considered. I did have somebody just reach out this week about advertising on my podcast.
Nice.
Which I thought about for. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm ready to do that yet, but if it actually, maybe I'll pick your brain on that and see about 'cause, again, I really believe in the content marketing structure. I'm sure, as you know, when you put yourself out there, criticism is part of it.
Yeah. And
I would hate for anyone to allow someone else's opinions to stop them from achieving what they should rightfully achieve.
Oh, well said.
They say that the entrepreneurial superpower, if they could name one, would be to not care about others' opinions. And that is hard for us as voice teachers, because we as singers, what do? We're the one at the front of the stage. We're the one engaged with the audience. We're the one that is getting the immediate feedback. It's not the bass player. It's not the violinist in the orchestra. It's us.
Yeah, and we work the feedback we get, and we mold it into whatever it is that the audience wants. So we train ourselves, and it's our power, it's our skill, is to be empathic with who we are in front of and try to please them.
Yeah. And the internet trolls and even peers who criticize you, that's the painful one. I used to be quite a bit heavier, and I put out some content, and there was a picture of me, and someone shared it on Facebook. And one of the first comments was, what's his next article going to be about? How to grow a gut? And this was a grown man who put this. I went, oh my gosh, I've been fat shamed. Like, it's just incredible. But but then again, I recently I did a webinar, and at the webinar, I made a pitch for my Facebook course. And somebody watched the webinar, and they got on Facebook and they complained about it. And at first I felt defensive, and then I had to stop and go, no, you know what? Even though marketers don't recommend this, that if I'm speaking to voice teachers, they tend to be a little more guarded, a little more distrustful of marketing. Mm-hmm. And so I need to let them know up front that after this 60 minutes of content, I will make an offer. Mm-hmm. And at that point you can leave. So it doesn't surprise them.
Right.
it's a different audience.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're say a real estate agent going to a real estate agent conference, we expect there to be a pitch at the end of every session, but we're not accustomed to that as voice teachers. Yeah.
No. And then just depending on the background, a lot of, because you do have I don't know if I want to use the word classes, but you have those voice teachers that have come out of the university system and perhaps work within that system.
Yeah.
And that's a very different world than somebody like me who was, a rock and jazz musician and then went and found a mentor and studied under them in their own private studio and then went out and started doing this. So I'm not a product of that system and things, but that's not my world. And these worlds can be very, very different. And so some of us out here with our marketing and private studios, and there are some of us who are bad actors and are kind of a little crass with it, but I totally understand the distrust of it.
Yeah. So how does this all? So we've talked about the academy and we've talked about mentoring voice teachers. How does it work with singers? Because you work with some singers on their careers also.
Yes. And then I also have other contacts that I can reach out to depending on what the singer's goal is. So for students I just want to hear what it is that they want to do. Sometimes people just come in, say, oh, well, I want to be a singer. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere. What kind of singer do you want to be? Where are you looking to have your career goal? Yep. If you're 12 and you say that, great. If you're 18 and still saying that, you have to get a focus. And so you have a pathway.
You got it. I don't know if you know this, John, but I literally just wrote the book called The Teen Girl Singing Guide, target age 12 to 17, about getting your focus and finding your path and figuring out where it is you need to go. So we are on the same wavelength on that one.
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's a book I can get?
Yeah, I'll send you a copy.
I have to get it.
It's on Amazon.
Oh, good for you. So I will say to voice teachers, and you know this now better than anyone, is writing a book is the single best business card that exists.
Absolutely.
And it creates instant authority. And if you are let's say you're going to be at a voice teacher conference and you're going to get up to speak, they are not going to talk about any degrees you have or any associations that you belong to. The author of the book, blank, and that's how they will introduce you. And that creates instant authority.
Yeah, it's a really valuable thing for a teacher to develop. Absolutely.
And can I ask you, how hard did you find the process?
Well, it took discipline, which is, of course, challenging for me. So the discipline that it took was to sit down every morning for an hour and get it done. But when I started podcasting, as you know, podcasting takes so much more time than it looks like it takes. And so I put out 20 episodes of my podcast and the book stopped in its tracks while I was doing that. So I had to take a month break from the podcast and devote those hours to the book. But self-publishing, and then now I've published a couple of other books, and so I've started a publishing company, studioboss.com, which I don't have the website done yet for. But it's just all kind of falls into place one step at a time. You think, okay, I'm going to write a book. What do I need to do? Well, start with the outline, just like you did in college. And then you start filling in the outline. And when you think you've got it done, you give it to someone else to read, and they come back with a bunch of edits. And, just one step at a time, and 9 months later, it's done.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'm actually in the middle of writing my first proper book.
Oh, good for you.
So I should have the first, and my plan is I'm going to have the complete first draft done within 30 days.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So
I'm
yeah. Which actually, if you're writing a couple thousand words a day, which is not that hard.
No, it isn't.
Once you get on the schedule, you can get it done. So this is a book. I'm going to write it in 30 days. I've been thinking about it for 10 years.
Now, do you use a specific program to outline your book? I found that modern software with book writing is so much better than just doing it in a Word doc. Do you have one that you use? Right
now I'm using it's an online service called Blank Page,
okay.
but there may be this is my first time, and I had bought this thing a while back on like some internet deal.
Yeah.
So I just had it. What I do like about it is that you're able to drag and move the chapters very easily.
That's the only thing that really matters.
So you can
to
kind
me.
of.
Yep. So I've used Scrivener,
Yeah,
which is very similar, and I've used Trello, which is a business group organizing thing. But the idea that you can create cards, and each card has content, and then you can move those cards around. You may think you know what the outline is at the beginning, but you will change your mind somewhere along in the process. So I really like the new software where you can change the whole structure of the book in 20 seconds.
I will tell you a piece of software that I've had for a while, but recently really started using is Evernote.
Oh, yeah.
And what's great about Evernote is it makes it really easy. I'm the type of person, I'll open up, I'll see an article and I go, oh, I've got to read that. And then I'm afraid to close the tab.
Yeah.
So I've got like 50 tabs open in my computer. And so it's just like killing my laptop battery, et cetera. Evernote, I can just go ahead, click on it. It will clip it to Evernote. It'll put it in my inbox. I can attach a tag to it for easy filing. And then I can just close that window and not worry about it. And so as anything, keeps it clean and keeps it organized. I mean, that's, as you begin to do this, as you grow as an entrepreneur, you realize that time becomes critical, and organization and keeping just everything focused, scheduled. My whole thing is, again, plan, schedule, execute. And so if I can keep that all going, get it on the calendar, and then make my time really count. Just real quick, as I'm bouncing around, I really recommend the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. If anyone's read it, it's just the art of doing true, focused, uninterrupted work, and how much more you can get done in a short period of time rather than flitting around for 12 hours. If you do 3 or 4 hours of deep work, you're going to get so much more done, and then you can then mentally shut off and go do something else and get a break. And then when you come back to your deep work, you can then do better, more focused work.
Sounds good. I will look for that book. Good. So where can people find you, John? Where can they learn more about you? You're everywhere. So can you list off your places?
Yeah. The easiest place is just johnhenny.com, JOHNHENNY. And then anything else you're looking for, off of that website, you can find.
Great. Your passion for this field is just fantastic. And so I'm so excited that you've figured out ways to share your passion with all of us. It's such a gift.
I'm so thrilled to meet like-minded voice teachers like yourself that kind of embrace this marketing world. And as people will tell you again and again, marketing, the most important thing, it's the only thing. And if you learn to market on any level, and I really suggest that teachers do this, even if you just want to sit in your studio and teach, you'll be able to target and find those students you really want to work with. The difference between looking at your schedule and getting excited, or looking at your schedule going, oh man, I wish I had a dentist appointment. And and it's so much better to look at your day and go, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
And marketing can give that to you.
Beautiful. Well said. All right. Well, thank you so much, John. It's been great talking to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining me on Everything, and thank you to John Henny. Wasn't he great? So much clarity and information that he has to share, and clearly the man is passionate about sharing the blending of an entrepreneurship with singing and teaching singing. And marketing is just another great thing to John, which is so refreshing to hear in this world where the landscape is ever-changing. We don't have time to learn all these things, every little nugget ourselves, and I have sincerely enjoyed taking advantage of John's offerings in the world of Facebook marketing. So if you get a chance, no, not even if you get a chance, when you need it, which you do, go to johnhenny.com and you can get this information for yourself. You can also support this podcast, Everything, through patreon.com/everything. There are reward levels there, and I I would love to give you the rewards. The rewards are like getting free copies of the songs that I use in the episodes, or suggesting guests, or even having your own moment in an Every Sing episode. Video or not video, it's up to you. Please visit patreon.com/everysing to support this podcast. Again, thank you for joining me, and I will see you, or at least talk in your ear, next week. Thanks. Bye-bye.